Cool. Let's go.
Cool. Then
All right.
hit it.
Welcome to the Artie's Attic Warehouse 13 Fancast, where a steampunk girl, a lifelong sci-fi fan, and a rocket scientist chat about the popular 2009 sci-fi series. There's never a dull moment with the agents dedicated to protect humankind from unexplained phenomena that manifest their powers in special objects. And there's all those friendships and relationships along the way. Grab a cookie while you can. Hope you don't smell fudge. Gear up with your Farnsworth, Tesla, and Neutralizer, and let's have some fun by snagging it, bagging it, and tagging it.
Welcome back to Artie's Attic. We're a Warehouse 13 fan cast. I'm the Warehouse 13 janitor, currently rigging up a Segway supercharger for Artie. My name is SP. And introducing Artie's Attic lead agent and historian who once dabbled with being the wife of a washed-up semi-pro ice hockey player. It's Agent Shannon.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Washed up hockey player.
And also joining us is the warehouse agent who you just heard, who has always wanted to drive a Zamboni. It's Agent Carolyn.
Yes, please. Can I? Can I
I
now?
want to
How about
drive a
now?
Zamboni. It's not fair. You could be washed up. I want the truck.
You mean I'll be the wife and you can be the Zamboni driver? Okay.
Yes. You could be the
Long as
wife.
he's loaded.
He's washed up. By definition, he is not loaded.
Damn it. I don't want to trade then.
We are continuing our Warehouse 13 series discussion with the episode that premiered on Monday, August 20th, 2012. 1 month before the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors became the Mississauga Steelheads as part of the 2012 to 2013 Ontario Hockey League season. By the way, that was the logo that was shown on the rink, on the team. The M
I was like, what are you talking about?
is the Mississauga St. Michael's Majors. The Majors
Got
was
it.
the M. Or
Okay,
maybe it was
no.
Mississauga. I don't know. But the team transferred that. So when they were filming this episode, they knew that the team no longer existed, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
why
was
they
like,
filmed it.
what in the world? Who are you talking about? Oh, the hockey team. Because I know so much about hockey.
I do.
Yeah,
know,
we'll
it
leave
is-
that up to the hockey experts who played it, meaning
Yeah,
SP.
I know the puck goes into the other goal. That's just about it.
I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. That's about all I know.
That's
No,
pretty
you
much
went
what
to a
it's
hockey
turned
game
into.
and a fight broke out.
No, I went to a
No.
fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the joke. Yeah.
That's the joke.
I'm with
Because that's always what happened.
you. Yeah. I've been to a hockey game. I didn't know that they could fight. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Let's go. was
Every
cool to
game.
watch.
Every game. I'm referring to the Warehouse 13 Season 5, 5th episode, No Pain, No Gain. The IMDb description reads, Pete and Myka investigate a hockey player who seems to be miraculously and instantaneously recovering from serious game injuries, while Claudia is invited to a mysterious lunch by Mrs. Fredrick. Elsewhere, Artie and Steve discover somebody who has been stealing artifacts from inside the war. I assume that's warehouse, and they just ran out of characters or anything. Carolyn, how'd you like the episode?
I really liked this episode. There was so much funny stuff going on. And I mean, you learn more about other things too, but there was so much hilariousness. I mean, Myka pregnant cracking me the heck up with all of her pregnancy things. Every time she's like, I gotta pee. I gotta pee.
I've been
And as
there,
soon as
yes.
she gets her body back, she's like, I have my body back. Oh my gosh, I have hips. I can move. So,
I know the feeling.
yeah.
I've been there.
I have not,
Twice.
but I'll take your word for it.
You do it to pee like every 5 minutes. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I've heard.
Freaking
yes.
kids.
Well, got to dance on your bladder and see what happens.
Yep.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed all of the stories in this one. The Artie and Jinksy's story with Jinks going, "Hey, Artie, you lied." He's like, "No, I didn't." Human lie detector.
Trey was right there with him. He's like,
Trey
Trey
was right there.
I need you. He's lying. And Trey's like, oh, I know exactly what's going on.
He's like, "Oh man, if I could tell you, if I could speak English, you'd know."
There's an artifact that can help out with that. We've already seen it.
That's why Artie is connected. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Woof. But yeah, so this was the story of how an artifact gets created and watching Claudia be able to witness said thing and get all gussied up to go out to lunch with Mrs. Fredick and then not even get lunch. She had to go.
And still be hungry.
Yes.
You got to pay attention to the time. I have a whole bunch of questions to all that stuff, but we'll get to that, I guess, later. What else you got?
Well, I did enjoy the trying to figure out how the hockey player was miraculously getting healed as they were in the room. What's it called?
Stadium?
No.
Locker room?
Thank you. Locker room. Good grief, Carolyn. When they were in the locker
Rubbing
room
off on you.
and they were spraying all of his
Equipment.
pads.
Yep. Nothing smells worse. Nothing smells worse than a hockey locker room. Nothing.
Oh, I could only imagine.
I thought you were about to say something else. I'm like, nah, how would you know?
Yeah,
I
and
can imagine.
as far as the quote unquote penis protector, nobody calls it that. Everybody calls it a nut cup.
Well, Pete had to come up with something. There was a lot of food in this episode, too.
Sounds like a very thing, something Pete would say.
There was a banana in this episode.
That was for you, Shannon.
There was,
cookies.
there was banana, cookies, and there was one more thing that I wrote down. And a burrito, because Myka ate both burritos because she was pregnant and hungry. Pete says, that other one was for me. She's like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. And when she comes out the first time out of the bathroom, she's like, I had to get out of there. I can smell everything. And Pete's like, I'm just going to apologize right now for whatever I might do.
Ew.
That's accurate.
So there was in very touching moments between Pete and Myka as far as, we did get, it was kind of like a Misery, the Stephen King reference to the TV show Misery in this one, because there's a crazed fan that wants the mic all to herself, but found out that she wished him to get better. This was one of the artifacts.
Years ago, we had a minor league team in town. They were actually pretty successful. And they played not too far away from where I live. Matter of fact, it's in between where I live and where I work. And that drive is only 12 minutes long. So that's how close this team was. And in the process of it, I did discover for the first time in my life, a true groupie, a fan groupie, a hockey fan groupie.
Huh?
There was several of them. There was a group of them. And yeah, they were all over those guys. And they wanted to get their hooks in them in the minor leagues, because if they ever went pro, and it was a minor league team at the time for the Columbus Blue Jackets, which is just an hour down the road, that they could be, a hockey wife.
If that's your goal in life, hey, more power to you.
It was their goals in life. And I was shocked. I was like, why does this really happen? I never experienced it when I was playing. Of course, I wasn't at the semi-pro level. I was at the college level when I quit, but I was like, yeah, really? Yeah, really. And we have a minor league baseball team in town too that still plays today. And yes, that same thing happens in baseball.
Oh, it happens in baseball. It happens to rock stars. It happens to whatever. Because somebody's trying to make a buck off of somebody.
I wonder how many people leave the cons, like all the actors and actresses that we see at the Comic Cons. I wonder how many of them are being followed like this crazy woman in this episode. Or how many times they get like fruitcakes or cookies, or hey, can you hand this whatever to sign. I mean,
Shannon, that is why you got the restraining order from Jamie Murray.
I know, but she smells so good. Her perfume was so good, and I couldn't speak, so it's okay. It's okay.
You smell good.
I love you. Yeah,
I love you.
that's all I needed to say. That's all I need to say. But I was at a con one time at the Con, and somebody asked one of the girls that I was one of the actresses to sign their breast. So
yeah, it happens.
That happens too.
I mean, especially if it's Sharpie, it'll wash off eventually. But this sort of thing happens, as you were saying, at cons. I'd have to say it probably happens to the female performers and creators a lot more than it does the male creators. I'm just
that would make sense.
Yes,
spitballing
because
there.
we're
At
crazy.
cons, yes, because
We're
they're
crazy.
probably still living in their basement
Eating Cheetos.
eating Cheetos.
Yeah, but I mean, the same sorts of things happens as you just pointed out with all
Their
sorts of
mama's
things.
basement.
Yes.
I think if you're following around a guy, it would be a successful guy and it would be more of a gold digger sort of situation. And there are gold diggers in this world. I know there are. I just have never had to experience them because I am not rich.
Yeah, I've never experienced that either because, they wouldn't get much out of me either.
Mm-mm.
We don't do this for money. That's for sure.
No. But I'm sure there are people out there that's gone to cons and then they end up getting those crazy fans that follow them around. They're always showing up at every one of them. I know some of the cons I've gone to, the actress goes, "Hey, I remember you. You're back. You come every year." I'm like, "Ooh, I like you. I want your autograph," but that's it.
Oh, there was a guy at the Rose City this year who I was standing in line with for, who was that? I think it was Rosario. No, yeah, it was a picture with Rosario, and he had oodles of things he was going to have her sign, like a lot of props and other things. And then he showed me like everything that he gets signed, and I was like, dude.
You could be here for a while.
Because I am obviously in the wrong line of business because her autographs to get a signed like Funko Pop or something like that was $175 each. And he had like 10 things that he wanted her to sign. And he drove down from Seattle. I'm like,
there's people that spend money on stuff in life. So if you got it, okay. Or if you save
that's what
up
I'm
for
saying.
it.
I needed to know what his job was because I'm obviously in the wrong line of business.
Do you know-
I'm like, I can't afford that.
At the Con in Ohio that we went to, there's like
The one you forgot to tell SP.
There's like 7 characters for the show, right? And it was Sasha's first con she ever went to. And you know how expensive they are when you have an autograph, when you have a photo op and you get 1 or 2, it's, it's normal. But she had all of them in the same picture with her.
Oh, yeah. That's
like,
Fendi.
chill.
So we know that Pete goes to Dragon Con every year or has been going every year. So I'd like to hear from our audience. How has your interaction been? If you've gone to Dragon Con and you met Pete.
Eddie McClintock.
Yeah, Eddie McClintock. If you've met Eddie at any place around.
I met Eddie.
I've met Eddie.
How was your interaction with him? I guarantee
Loved
you
him.
every story that we're going to get is amazing. But how was your interaction with him? How did you like it? And would you recommend going to meet him? I'm guessing you
1,000,000%.
Universally, everybody's going to say yes because I've seen him and he is just adorable
He's
when
so
he's dealing
high
with
energy.
any human. Yeah.
But he's such an amazing human. He's just so caring and he'll spend time with you. Meeting him at Dragon Con and Joanna Kelly was just the best thing ever. So yeah, if you have a chance to meet Eddie. He is the sweetest human being you will ever meet.
Now I'm jealous because I've never been to a con with Joanne Kelly, but I have met the rest of them except Steve. I've met Eddie, I've met Allison, I've met Saul and Jamie all at the same con. But I know that there was this one woman talking about how, she got up and she was going to talk to the people from the back of the crowd, a microphone, and she was saying something about how this was her first con ever and she just wanted to come meet her favorite people. He got off the stage, ran to the back of the aisle of the room where she was at and gave her a hug and then ran back.
Sounds like Eddie.
I've seen that video. That was very heartwarming. The crazed fan, by the way, her character was Judy Giltoy, but her actual name is Kirsten Nelson. And get this, she
Not
has
a Karen.
well, I mean, you could call her a Karen. She's got 46 acting credits since 1993. She was in the 1993 movie The Fugitive. It was like the first IMDb credit that she had. And then this is just some of the things that I saw. She was in one episode of The West Wing as young Mrs. Dolores Landingham. She was in 2 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She was in an episode of Ally McBeal. She was in an episode of Frasier. She was in the 2005 movie War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
Oh, I saw that.
She was in one episode of Warehouse 13, and most people, if they haven't recognized her in any of those so far, have probably seen her if they've watched Psych, because she was in 119 episodes of Psych, as well as like the 3 or 5 post movies or whatever
Did
they
she play
did.
the detective, like the cop that's in
Karen
charge?
Vick was her character, Karen Vick.
Well,
And then she went on to do 2 episodes of a little small off-Broadway play on TV called This Is Us as Dr. Green.
everybody talks about that. I've not seen any episodes.
None of it.
It was a huge hit on
Yes.
TV for a while. This Is Us, and she played in 2 episodes as Dr. Green. So she has been in a thing or two, and Warehouse 13 was able to grab her. I think they grabbed her before Psych. I wasn't able to get the years as I was writing this down, but yeah, 119 episodes of Psych. That's a long
cool.
run. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she definitely played the crazed fan well. And her artifact, we find out that it only affects people that you love. So when she tried to make Pete's lungs collapse, it didn't work. And then they were like, well, we find out that the reason why
Pete
Myka gets
loves her.
pregnant is because Pete wished it, and he was holding the dog tags.
Because Pete loves her.
Because Pete loves her
And wants to be a daddy.
and wants to be a dad very badly. Because they were talking about the fact that Myka's sister at the beginning of this, which
Tracy.
we have to talk about, which is hilarious at the beginning of this, is called her when they were in Japan collecting a crow feather as geisha dolls to tell her that she's pregnant. So that was quite funny that Claudia was sitting there playing. What is that instrument called? Do you know? The instrument she was playing. I mean, it's kind of like a guitar, so she was playing, something that she would have known how to play, but
I read in the trivia that they weren't saying what the instrument was, but they said the music was a very common like folk song for the Japanese culture. And I got that, but I didn't get what the instrument, and honestly, I don't know what I'm not a string guy. I don't know. It's like, it's a guitar, it's a ukulele, or it's, something
it's
like
a thing
that.
you play. Mer.
It's just not in my lexicon. So my apologies. If anybody knows what it's called, please let us know.
Yeah, please let us know. But it was funny to watch. And then Myka breaks out a pinwheel and spins it to make everybody that's in there kind of go into a trance and fall asleep. She got to use an artifact. We're going to start calling her Artie.
It was Alfred Hitchcock's metal pinwheel. When spun, releases a spray of petals and sparkles that put whoever they're blown at to sleep.
Who knew? Thanks for that. I was wondering whose that was. Alfred Hitchcock. You wonder how that artifact would have been made. Because you've got him. I mean, he's obviously Alfred Hitchcock, but why would he have a pinwheel?
To blow people asleep? I don't know.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, how does
think-
that, judging by the artifact that was made, that Claudia got to watch, be made, the lady that was in the jewelry shop that dove in front of the baby and got shot in the shoulder, and her bracelet turned into an artifact. And Claudia was like, well, don't we need to collect that from her? Mrs. Fredrick says, we only collect artifacts when they cause problems.
That goes against several things that we've seen so far, because once you actually notice an artifact, they want to go out and collect it. never once have we seen an artifact remain out in the field.
I don't know. I don't think so, because they only get a ping when something doesn't make sense, like when this guy was healing miraculously from a hockey thing. So they only get a ping for an artifact when it's behaving badly.
Which
when it's
means they should have to know that it's an
unnatural.
artifact.
Yeah, when it's causing unnatural things to happen, that's when they get the ping and that's when they go and collect it. So there could be a lot of artifacts out there like this bracelet that will do nothing or will give the person a lot of bravery. I'm not sure with that one, but
I think that's the most important takeaway from this episode is that this is the first time we get to see how, not only how the artifacts sometimes are made, but we get to see the ability that Claudia already has within her. That's the changes that she's feeling. Sometimes they're not always related to Jinx, but she's feeling it because the warehouse is allowing her to feel it. So she is becoming or being trained. Mrs. Fredrick is training her to become the next caretaker.
Aware of what she's feeling.
So Claudia may not want it, and she still has a choice not to, choose not to. But Mrs. Fredrick is seeing if she can pinpoint it.
Okay, a lot of things right there. So first of all, how does Mrs. Fredick or the warehouse or both know that an artifact is about to be created? Because they're premonition here by at least a day, because the invitation is sent out the day before to come to lunch in Minneapolis. So not only did Mrs. Fredick know that there was going to be an artifact created, she knew when and where.
True.
How?
They haven't told us that part.
Magic.
All right. So the other thing is that Mrs. Fredick was looking at her, she's patting her hair, and there's a big gray spot in her hair. And I'm not that observant, so I don't know if it's been there or not before.
It's the first episode.
It arrived there after
Artie reset
time, because she looked at Artie and said,
"Do you know what this?
Do you know what this is about?" And she pointed to the gray spot in her hair.
Okay, so obviously she's getting closer to her end as the caretaker of the warehouse because she's getting older, basically. And you know how old she... Well, that's the inference that I took from here.
Okay.
And then, so you can argue with me or whatever, but it's...
Well, because she glitched, because she died.
That's true. It might be that this is a different timeline. So she glitched, and that caused her to get older.
The gray hair.
And it's now like progressing to where, okay, well, this timeline may be, coming to an end faster than it was supposed to. That
and the other thing is we now know how old she is, because not only has her son passed, but her grandson is getting to the point where he's about to pass. So you got to figure a human life in her family, say the guys live to 80. Let's just say it. I have no idea, but genetically the guys live to 80. So she probably had her son when she was, I don't know, between 25 and 30. Let's be generous and let's say 30, because it's going to make the math easier, right? So then her son is born, and he has his son when he's 30. So that's at when her age is 60, if I can actually say it. And then now he is close to, he's in the old assisted living, old person's home, whatever. So 60 years, another 80. So we're talking around, and this is really crude math, but we're talking she is at least 140 years old.
So if you only get one person to tell that you are working in the warehouse, and she obviously had to tell her husband, who has obviously passed away a long time ago.
Unless he was bronzed.
Yeah, unless he was bronzed. Does that mean she gets to keep telling, because she would have had to tell her son the reason why he was aging and she was not. And she would have had to tell her grandson. I mean, that's literally her grandson getting older than she is.
She's having more than one lifetime, so why would you get more than one chance?
Well, that's the warehouse rules, is you only get one person. So
if you're an agent, she's not an agent. She's a caretaker.
True, she is the caretaker. But, I mean, you would have to tell them, because they would kind of look at you like, okay, why am I now 90 and you look like you're still the same age as when I was, first born. So
Yeah, because becoming
secret's in
caretaker
that
makes
family.
you. I mean, she's not immortal, but she has an extended life period, right? So
right.
when you become the caretaker, everything gets that extended because we know at the end of the series who's going to be the next caretaker, right? So it gets extended. She'll just be extended. So I would imagine that anybody she comes in contact, she's going to watch them live out their life and die, but she won't as long as she's caretaker. So you got to be
hard
able. Yes, I
to
would imagine.
outlive not only your husband but your son and your grandson. That would be very hard.
That means Mrs. Fredrick was married and had kids before she became caretaker.
She would have to have been, yes.
Not necessarily, but okay.
Well, when was she had time
that's
since
true. Because of Janeway.
Sulu found time to have a family. I think Mrs. Fredick could find time to have a family too. If Sulu can do it, Mrs. Fredick can do it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go throughout the original series timeline for Star Trek.
I got that part. So I still think it's cool that we got to see them how artifacts were made.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
That is my favorite scene of the whole episode, by the way.
That Myka says, "You love me," right?
Yeah.
She's never gonna let him live that one down.
You love me.
But I don't think she really does. She really understand that though? Does she really understand that it's love, and not just like you're my sister, like you're my brother, sort of thing? Because they're partners. Because I
don't know. Is it love, or does he just want to be a daddy?
I think it's love at this point in time, and he's playing it off as much as he can. Because he knows it's not going to be conducive. They're partners, and that needs to be. He is in love with her, and he comes to realize that. And as you see his acting in this episode, you're like, okay, I get it. But you're also like, this is unobtainium, or it should never be. So I'm not going to. So, Shannon, unfortunately, this is the start of what you hate.
Yeah.
I know, but she don't love him back, so that's okay.
I think at this point in time, she doesn't realize that she loves him back. At this point in time,
she's still like, you're my brother, and I get to make fun of you and punch you all the time still. So,
yes,
still a brother-sister relationship.
As he looks at her, he goes, "Do I have boogers in my nose? Do I have boogers in my nose? You go, girl."
What's he say? I'm your gay. I'm your gay or best friend.
No, I'm your best. I'm the quirky best friend or something like that.
Yeah, wingman. Yeah.
I did enjoy the Artie and Jinksy's storyline too, as far as the Jinks is kind of saying, "Well, what would get under your skin? Which ones would get under your skin?" He's like, the Hatfield McCoy rifles. I got the McCoy rifle. The Hatfield one's still here. Well, come on, let's go. And he takes off on a Segway, and Jinksy's like, "If you're trying to kill me, you're too late."
So, question for you two ladies. When I was growing up back in the day, there was a lot of references to the Hatfields and McCoys. Mm-hmm. A lot, like an excessive amount in cartoons, in TV shows, in even at school, there was references to the Hatfields and McCoys. And the fact that they were two warring families that went back and forth, kind of like a modern day, well, not modern day, but a Western Romeo and Juliet sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So was that the same when you guys were growing up? Because we are like almost a generation apart.
I remember the stories of Hatfield and McCoys.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were still there. It was the magnetism of and I liked Artie made him look through the sites to see where the other one was. And he's like, "Wait, I know that cow. Does it have lipstick?" That's a great clue.
Pink lipstick cow. Something that can only be seen in South Dakota.
Wait, I know that lipstick. And then Artie does find out that Claudia and Jinks is connected because Jinks lets it slip because the rifles, after he pulls open the door, the rifles start shooting at each other. And he's like, no, it'll kill Claudia. And Artie's like, what?
We talked about this at the beginning of the season, that usually it's the whole I'm not going to tell my teammates or my family or whatever, and that's usually what the tension becomes, and that's exactly what happens here. However, Artie literally is trying to work for the best for everyone. He is not telling people because he doesn't want to, and just because he doesn't want to. He's not telling people because he has been told he can't.
Yes.
Because something extremely bad will happen. And as a warehouse fan, you're watching this and you're like, oh, I don't like this, but it's not the normal, I don't want to tell you for whatever reason.
He's not trying to be deceitful.
Yeah, he doesn't have a hidden agenda. He just can't.
But there is an agenda because of that, and it has caused issues. And one of the issues is, oh my gosh, Claudia's going nuts because she's going to try to kill me because we keep seeing the vision of her with the dagger. And then finally, with Jinx's slip of the tongue, finally, that part of it is out. And it's like, oh, I get it. Yeah, we need to figure this out. Which leads me to another point of...
Guppies. Okay, just throw it out there.
Why wouldn't they have tried to get Jinx off the metronome before now? That would have been job one. Okay, Jinx, you're back. Let's make sure you stay back. Let's get you off the metronome.
I think because they were still trying to, yes, bubble guppies, but I think because they were still trying to figure out what the side effects were of what happened and what they could do. And so Jinx is like, well, that's why I've been laying low. I don't want to get hurt because it'll hurt Claudia. And he says, but I've been, looking and trying to figure out how to get myself off of it. And I can't find anything. And Artie's just like, well, this is Warehouse 13. Anything's possible. Almost anything.
I think they've just been busy on other things. They haven't thought about it because if it's working, why fix it? But it's not working.
Yeah, and then they were like, Artie was like, let's put this rifle back in the trunk so we don't get Claudia shot.
Yeah, he gets it right away. He just, I love Artie because he's all into what the artifacts can do and what their effects can be. So when they find out, oh, this is going to harm somebody, then he just wants to put it away. I think that's very responsible of him. I think he's, to this day, I don't think he was the best lead agent that the warehouse had, but he's the only lead agent that they have because nobody else has got his experience that can take it forward. So it's one of those unfortunate things. You're like, Artie, we love you and you're very passionate and you've dedicated your entire life to this. But I think even you would admit that you are not you should not be in charge of the warehouse. Somebody else should be.
We did learn more about the warehouse security though, because as Jinx found Artie collecting those gems and Jinx is like, well, didn't we upgrade security when artifacts went missing? Isn't it supposed to ping your computer? He's like, yes, it's supposed to ping my computer, but it's not for some reason. He says, well, let's talk to Claudia. No. And we got to keep this between us. And then when they get to the warehouse, they open it up and Artie looks at it and goes, man, Artie, this is your life. And so then Jinx is like, okay, we'll take it all, let's just, oh no, there's protocols for this. We have to make sure we get it all back to the warehouse. And then they see the shipping supplies and Jinx is like, I don't know if they're all still here.
Which leads me to next week. I think it's next week's episode. But the girl that do y'all remember the girl that plays her sister? She's a very well-known actress.
Tracy?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't.
It's Amy Acker?
Oh, yeah, Amy Acker. Yeah.
Acker.
She's the sister?
She plays her sister, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Very young Amy Acker, but that's her sister.
Mm.
And I think probably next week's episode, we get to see one of those artifacts that have already been mailed out.
No.
I don't think I've seen Amy in anything that I don't like. She was in Person of Interest. She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And she Person of Interest.
She plays great characters every time as well.
She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah. She was Coulson's... I don't know if you remember this or not, Shannon, because I don't think you're a huge MCU fan, but there was in the original Avengers movie, there was this reference to a girlfriend or somebody that Coulson had romantic interest in. It was the cello player.
Oh, yeah.
She was the cello player.
Oh.
The cellist.
I can tell you, I like the MCU universe way better than the other.
The DC.
I don't like DC at all. Now, I don't. Let me take that back. I like Wonder Woman, but that's.
I think we had this discussion.
That's kind of
we've
where it
had this
stops.
discussion
Now,
before.
I do like The Gifted, the TV show The Gifted, where she was in, but it was still a continuation of. Was that Marvel characters? I think so.
The Gifted? Well, I mean,
or is that
so
more
here's the
characters
thing.
for Wolverine?
Wait, time out. Here's the thing with TV series and the MCU. Until Disney Plus, there was not. They pretended there was, but there was not a direct connection with the TV series to any of the movie series. And at the time The Gifted was airing, Fox was still separate from Disney, which meant that the superheroes were not in the same universe.
They were competing against each other.
They are now. Yes, it was a competing studios. Disney now owns all of the Fox characters that were Marvel. And this gets back to Marvel was going through bankruptcy in the 90s, and Stan Lee, in order to keep the company alive, sold the movie rights away and the character rights away for TV shows to different studios. And it wasn't until Iron Man in 2009 that the boat was turned and they were like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do with what we have. And they did something that was incredible. That's lasted over 25 movies now and has been probably the most successful movie series of all time. But at the time that this was going on, Gifted was way separate. It wasn't part of it at all.
Okay, question. Gifted wasn't part of it. Was the whole X-Men? Were they Marvel?
No, X-Men were
so it was
Fox.
something completely different. Okay,
yeah,
because the Gifted is a continuation from those characters.
Well, yes and no. Fox has never done a great job of connecting anything, and they've
Fox
rebooted several
stinks.
times. Like there's.
Okay. But in that series, they talked about Storm. So they talked about Wolverine.
Yes.
So that show belonged with those characters. Whoever owned it at the time. They belonged
loosely
in that.
based. Yes,
Yes.
loosely.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a separate, you can think of it in terms of the multiverse. There's separate universes going on. They weren't connected at any given time. The characters
Weren't
like
purposely
Storm.
connected.
Yeah, it's like it's the same as comic books. They reboot those all the time, but they still have the same background characters in it.
Okay.
Yep.
One, I've never been a comic book fan. Two,
That's
I actually found some of my comic books the other day, but I didn't buy them because I just really love to read comic books. I bought them because they were the number 1, 2, and 3 in the series. I have 1, 2, and 3 of Xena. And I've got quite a few of the TNG ones, starting at 1.
So wait a minute, let me get this straight.
I didn't buy them to read them.
I'm back to Warehouse 13. Amy Ackers is Tracy, and she's pregnant.
Yes.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah. There was so that was really fun to watch in the beginning when they were talking about her being pregnant, and she's she's doing the thing that Myka does best, where she's like, hold on, whack, she kicks this guy in the face with her foot. What do you think about a Japanese themed baby room?
Like she's answering a phone in the middle of all that.
Well, yeah, it was. They're all dressed up in these geisha outfits, and then you hear dee dee. Wait a minute. I think I'm vibrating.
It's your phone.
Yeah, it was her phone. It wasn't the Tesla. So here's the thing I have about that. Terrible tradecraft as a spy or an agent or whatever. Terrible tradecraft. You're giving away the fact that you have a sister and what your sister's name is. I mean,
yeah, but everybody was out cold,
bad.
so it's not like anybody was
if there's
there
recording devices around and everything, you can't pretend that there's not in this day and age.
It was funny too.
right.
The container that had the feather popped open, and Myka, don't look at it, you'll go insane. And so she flips open her fan and kicks the thing down.
Yeah, it's the feather. It's a beautiful glowing crow's feather that is capable of inducing insanity and or death if gazed upon directly.
So how did the guy that he was selling it to, he opened it and the other guy looked at it. How did that guy not go insane?
I think that was the plan. Give me your money and you go insane and I get the feather back and the money.
You get the feather back, but it didn't happen. they drank tea, and then Myka flung a pinwheel at him. They all went down.
Maybe
Well,
if you only
he was
gaze at
saving
it.
the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, for a second. Yeah.
So I think we had what, 4? No, we had more artifacts.
So there was the dog tags, right,
Mhm.
from the Baton Death
Dog tags
March.
for the
Terrible,
wish.
terrible. The more I read about it, and there's been a couple movies about it, but the more I read about it, that was just so terrible.
Yes.
The inhumanity that occurred during that death march. So I'm not going to go into it because it's going to bring us all down. But okay, it was
It
terrible.
was very depressing, but it
It
created a
was.
wish artifact.
And the bracelet that we saw, there was no name associated with it. It's just the bracelet was born.
Creation
By the
of
way,
it.
it was the one and only time in the entire series that we see a birth of an artifact.
Yep.
There was
Well, you
the
only need
feather.
to do it once.
So that's 3. There was the pinwheel, which we
Mhm.
talked
4.
about before. That was 4.
The rifle.
The rifles.
Well,
yeah.
both rifles, so that's 2 artifacts, right?
Yeah.
Or are we counting
So
that
that's
as one?
6.
There's
Because
Two
it was
of
2
them.
rifles,
That's-
but it is
that's
one
six.
artifact.
You see a lot of artifacts that have been stolen, like the scarf that was stolen.
Yep.
So there's a lot of artifacts that you see are stolen. I don't know if we
Yes.
want to count those or not.
I
I've
would
lost.
go
I've
with,
lost count.
because a lot of those we saw, the stockings, and we hadn't seen the scarf before, but these are Artie's artifacts. So
Do we want to count the steampunk
Artie's
segue?
artifacts.
his steampunk Segway was pretty darn cool. I loved it. I was like, I need me one of them. I've never ridden a Segway. They always looked really fun to ride. I've just never been able to ride one.
It's gone to one-wheelers now. The whole technology is shifted from Segway is, to bankrupt as a company.
Yeah.
But there's these one-wheelers, and these wheels are huge, and it's kind of like
I've
a
seen
combination of a
A
skateboard
skateboard.
and a Segway.
I've already got a broken head. No, thank you.
I would need the hand holding thing, because if you leave it up to me just with one thing to wheel on, I'm going to fall on my face. So give me the handle, please.
I've already got a broken head. No, thank you.
It was funny when they got back, when Claudia and Myka got back, and Artie was watching a hockey game, and Pete's like, "Oh, you're into hockey?" And he says, "Who are you rooting for?" He's like, "Nobody." It's like, let me explain how this fan thing goes.
Yeah.
If Artie's doing something, he's focused on artifacts with very few exceptions. So playing the piano is one, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of his other hobbies that are not artifact related?
Vanessa.
Nice. Yes.
Play her. Okay, so that's 2.
Yeah.
Anything else that's a hobby of his?
Take the dog for a walk.
He likes to cook.
Baking.
Baking. Oatmeal scotchies.
Yeah. No.
So if it's not one, I guess what I'm saying, if it's not one of those things and hockey has not been explored before in the 4 years that we've seen the Warehouse 13,
Then Pete should know.
It's
it's
Pete.
probably artifact related, not.
It's Pete.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then, as they're watching, I love the big teddy bear that Myka comes back with. And then when he gets tossed to Artie like nuzzles it and gets all comfortable. And then Claudia's like, "Oh, it's so soft and squishy." And the teddy bear too.
I think Artie made a hobby out of regrowing his colon.
He did make a hobby out of regrowing his colon for a
that was
while.
Vanessa related. So
Yeah.
But it was funny when they were watching for the artifact, and Claudia was sitting there, and then Pete had a banana, and he says, "What? She's the observant one, and I'm the one that eats all the time."
until she's pregnant.
Until she's pregnant. And then when they're going into the hockey rink to talk to the players, and they get handed a bunch of cookies, and Pete gets like molasses somethings, and the owner's like, "One thing I've always learned: never eat the fans' cookies. You don't know what's in them, and it could make your
Tosses
parts
them.
fall off." And you just see Pete spit out the cookie and throw the cookies behind him on the ice rink.
Yep.
By the
that's
way,
not trip hazard.
the team owner played the character. It was Larry Kemp was the character's name. His real name, the actor's real name, Timothy Amundsen. And
He played
has
Xena.
91 acting credits since 1992. Yep. Xena is 6.
That's where I know him from.
6 episodes of Xena. But he's also been in 1 episode of Seinfeld, 4 episodes of Sequest DSV as Joshua,
that might be
Dr. Joshua Levin.
I love that show.
1 episode of Married with Children.
Oh, we'll hold that against him.
1 episode of Silk Stockings.
Oh, I loved that series. Oh my goodness, I've heard anybody say it in years.
1 episode of Dark Skies.
Oh, I watched that. It was really good.
Also, I was pretty sure I was already realizing that what I was into when I was watching Silk Stockings. Go watch it. You'll know what I'm talking about. Mitzi Capture.
1 episode of Pensacola Wings of Gold. He was the psychic in the 1997 movie Starship Troopers.
No
That
way.
was
that was
him?
Oh
was
my
that the
God.
bug movie? That was the bug
That was the
movie,
bug
right?
movie.
The bug movie,
Yes,
yeah.
I
that was
haven't
the bug
watched it
movie.
since.
I watched it once.
That was
That
the
was
one
enough.
with Miss Richards, who's, topless. It was great. And,
That was why you watched it.
I mean, yeah. 1 episode of Frasier. As we said, 6 episodes of Xena. And he has been the voice talent in several, like at least half a dozen, if not more. I didn't count them all. Star Wars video games.
Makes sense. His voice was very deep. He had a very big presence voice. So that makes a lot of sense.
There was this short, and I don't know who produced it, but it was a short on Voltron that was produced in 2011. I remember watching it, but I don't remember what it was about. And he was in it. It was called Voltron The End. And it was, I don't know, like something happened with the original team or something like that. I don't even know who he played in there, but he was in there. Just 1 episode of Warehouse 13. And like our other guest star that we've talked about, he was also in Psych, played 120 episodes as Carlton
What?
Lassiter. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
I remember Psych.
7
That's a good series.
episodes of This Is Us as Gregory.
Huh.
I've seen that title float around, but I've never watched any of that either.
Well, I'm kind of surprised a little bit, Shannon, because there is time travel involved.
And This Is Us?
Yeah.
Really?
But that's what I said.
I've never seen it. Well, me and all my time to watch shows. That's the thing. That's a thing. I think I've watched 1 episode of Orphan Black.
Well, that's okay because Shannon hasn't watched any of what she's supposed to watch either.
It's
No.
okay. It'll probably take me just as long to watch that 1 episode as it took us to get you to watch Orphan Black.
The 1 episode I've watched.
The one. The
1
one.
episode
We'll-
of The Expanse. Yeah.
We'll do 1 for 1, I guess, because I never even think about it. We finally finished watching Sleepy Hollow, and then now we're on to something else. I'm like, okay.
What you onto now?
Something called American Housewives. It's really, it's not like a drama, but it's like, I swear to you, it's my life sometimes. And there's a teenager on there that looks just like me.
Shannon, have you ever seen The Americans? Oh my gosh.
Is that the one where he is a Russian spy, I think?
Yes.
I think I've only seen a couple episodes.
Okay, it's got Carrie Russell in it. Are you,
I know
You
who
sure?
she is. I
Okay.
don't remember where I know her from, but I know she's in something.
she's not a favorite of yours for whatever reason?
I don't think about her. What else was she in?
Oh, I don't know. She's been in a lot. Let me check that out. But you and Sasha should probably watch The Americans.
What's it about?
It's about the Russian spies in the 80s, but it's got, hey, who cares what it's about? It's got Carrie Russell in it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see.
She was in the Cocaine Bear movie. I forgot about that. She was in Rise of
Bear
Sky.
movie?
Yeah, it came out in 2023, Cocaine Bear. It was like this stupid thing that was
Okay.
on Netflix or something like that.
Okay.
Why do I know Carrie Russell?
I'm just going to go from
Did she play in
back
some
to front.
CD movie? Seemed CW show?
Well, she was in the Americans. Felicity, I think. So Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, she was in that. She was in The Americans. She was in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. She was in Arrested Development, only 1 episode. the movie Dark Skies. She was in 13 episodes of Running Wild. She was in the movie Extraordinary Measures. She was in Wonder Woman, was a voice. She was in 2 episodes of Scrubs, 84 episodes of Felicity. She was in the movie We Were Soldiers, which is a Vietnam era flick. She was in the movie The Lottery.
I probably have heard of her or seen the face. That's probably where I know it from Felicity, but I've never seen any Felicity.
I haven't either.
I know that was a show that was on late, was it 90s or 2000s? One of them.
1998 to 2002.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
She was in the movie, I just lost it. She was in Mission Impossible 3, talking about Haley Atwell and her appearance in Mission Impossible.
I haven't seen that either. Not yet.
You have not seen Haley Atwell in Mission Impossible?
I have not.
Okay.
Me neither.
Is it worth it? Because I really don't want to have to go through him to get to her. So
Valid.
I mean, I'll do it, but I don't want to. As Pete would say, I'll do it, but I don't really want to.
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer Connelly was worth the Top Gun for me, as well as the younger actors. So, to get it back to Warehouse 13, because there's no way to segue from Kerry Russell to Warehouse 13. The other main guest star in the episode, of course, was
the hockey player.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mike Madden was his character's name. Mike Dupude, I believe. Dupude is his actual name.
Dubois.
Probably. 197 acting credits. We talked a little bit about this.
He's in Continuum.
Last, yeah, he is.
Yes, that's right. I remember him being Continuum.
Do you guys remember the cop car show in the late 90s called Viper?
Yes, I loved that show.
He was in an episode of that. He wasn't a main character. He was in an episode of that. He was in 3 separate episodes of The Outer Limits in the late 90s, and all 3 episodes he played a different character, because I think The Outer Limits was a separate episode for each thing. He was in 2 episodes of Millennium, 1 episode of Andromeda. He was in the 2003 movie X2, X-Men United. He played a prison guard.
Yep.
He was in 6 episodes of Stargate SG-1. 4 of the episodes...
Yes.
Yes.
He played SG. He was on the first team.
4 of the episodes, he played guards. And then he played a colonel in season 8, episode 14. And then Odai Ventrell in season 10, episode 15.
He's like Roger Cross. He's everywhere.
I think Ori. That's your, he
was an Ori.
2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis. The first one was as a guard, and the second one was as Kirk in season 5, episode 9. He was in 4 episodes, and this was the big draw in this episode of Warehouse 13. He was in 4 episodes of Battlestar Galactica as crewman specialist Gage.
Yep.
He was in 1 episode of Supernatural. He was in the 2009 movie X-Men Origins Wolverine as a Vietnam Army officer.
Guard.
He was in 10 episodes of, it was an Army officer, close enough. He was in 10 episodes of Smallville as a security guard, 1 episode of Caprica.
He's got the face for it.
15 episodes of Stargate Universe as Varro.
Oh, yeah.
So he played in all of the Stargate Universe TV shows.
He's a Stargate guy.
Different characters.
Warehouse, Stargate, Continuum, Battlestar.
5 episodes of Continuum.
I think he's been in some Hallmark movies too.
Yes. The 2012 movie Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome. We incorrectly identified that as the one with Michelle Forbes. This was the prequel. This was the one that came out at the very end of everything, and they went back to the prequel.
Isn't that the one with Lucy?
Lucy Lawless?
Yeah. I mean, I know she was
I don't think so. I think this was... It was like 4 different webisodes or something like that that they stitched together.
I remember those.
He was in the 2013 movie Man of Steel, talking about DC. Played a Canadian airman. 5 episodes of Continuum, the 2014 movie Godzilla, the 2014 movie X-Men Days of Future Past, 4 episodes of Dark Matter as Eric's Nero.
Yep, he was.
6 episodes of Arrow as Victor, which was a Russian mobster. 2018 movie Deadpool as a prison guard.
Boy,
just not shaking that booger off his finger.
Typecasted. Sorry about that. At least this one he didn't have to play an army guard or something like that. He was a hockey player. Most eligible bachelor, according to this episode.
Toronto's most eligible bachelor.
Most eligible bachelor.
Toronto is a big city. It's like New York.
Myka needed to check his gold because, the league is cracking down on gold. So she had to check his gold.
It's shinier and stickier.
I love how she was fighting with him the entire time.
She's like, well, do you like to go antiquing? He says, well, if you're asking me out on a date, she's like, just answer the question. He says, no, because the question is stupid. Yeah, well, your arm is stupid. Oh, and then you hear, hear Pete as she's looking at the x-ray. He's like, you can understand that? She's like, yeah, I was pre-med before I was pre-law, before I was in the Circle's Secret Service.
And yet you're here.
Yet you're doing the same job as me.
I feel that so hard. 5 episodes of The 100 as Michael Vincent and the 2018 movie The Predator as Dupree. So Mike has been around and I think an excellent grab, but I think Kirsten and Timothy were excellent grabs too. This was a real star-studded episode, and I'm not going to go into it, but there were several other. There was Liz Alexander, there was Sean Gallagher, who we've seen before, and he stepped in. I was like, who did he play here? And he stepped in and he played the dad of the kid, and he was totally made up with glasses and everything, so you couldn't tell it was Sean. But that's who he was playing. Katerina Taxia played the doctor, and Ted Ludzik played the limo driver again. We've seen Ted before. He didn't really say or do anything. He was just the limo driver.
Claudia. Oh, I'm going with you? You've got a rockin' gig, Mrs. F. Mrs. Fredrick.
Let me tell
Her
you,
eyes get big.
Growing up in the Twin Cities, you do not want to take the public transportation.
Yeah, she's like, unless you're going to take the bus. She's like, no.
Downtown Minneapolis. No. Okay. What else do we got here?
I think that's about it. I mean, it was a pretty good episode, I think.
It was. There was a lot going on. Oh, and one of my funny favorite parts was they were in the locker room, and, Myka and Mike, they're just at each other because she's just stupid hockey player, until he makes a reference to her name being something about an opera.
Broadway show, yeah.
An opera. And she's like, opera? And suddenly she's in love. Like, before she was like, oh my God, this guy is stupid hockey player. And then he makes a reference to opera, and she's like, oh my God, I love you. Kind of look in her eyes. And then Pete's like, come on. We've got work to do. You can play Mike's magic flute later.
And they just look
She's
at each other.
And I have to go kill him now.
By the way, the reason why this was such a great episode, it was directed by J. Chandra Sekhar, who has 62 directing credits starting in 1996. And there's a lot of comedy here, which is what was brought out by Pete. The 2001 movie Super Troopers.
That would be why. I haven't seen that movie, but...
Yeah. 4 episodes of Arrested Development, the 2005 movie Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, never saw it, but did grow up on Dukes of Hazzard.
2 episodes of Knight Rider, 5 episodes of Chuck, which I know neither of you have seen, and it's too bad because you should.
Yeah, well, it's on the list.
4 episodes of Psych, 1 episode of Warehouse 13. So this is the one and only time we get his amazing talent. 9 episodes of Community, and if you know anything about Community, that is where the Russo brothers came out of, and you've seen what they do with Infinity War and Endgame. So, he rubbed shoulders there. 9 episodes of Royal Pains, 1 episode of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Shannon, you might know that in real life. I don't know. 1 episode of Superstore, 1 episode of Powerless, which I checked. This was not the episode with Adam West. I was thinking, so Adam West's last credit was Powerless. If you ever see it's a show about people that are living in the DC universe as like insurance agents or something like that.
Oh, okay.
and Adam West was in an episode, and it was his last credit before he passed away. Yeah, this is not the episode that he did, though. The 2018 movie Super Troopers 2, 7 episodes of New Girl, 2 episodes of Clyde's recommendation, Resident Alien. And then...
Oh, yeah.
The Mighty Ducks Game Changers, season 2, a few episodes of that, and then 4 episodes of Animal Control. So a lot of comedies, like geek cop comedies.
You could definitely tell in this one because there was a lot of good jokes
One-liners.
and one-liners. I mean, although the pregnant belly of Myka was quite funny, you could clearly tell it was just like a basketball or something that they used. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, it wasn't a full fat suit. Yeah.
It was really funny. And they, get to the cabin and she's completely zonked out and he just puts the Tesla on her tummy.
I've got something here. So she's in the bathroom and she discovers she's pregnant and she can't have her bra on, right? So Pete gives her his jersey to put on so she doesn't have to wear a bra. And then they go out to the cabin. She's still not wearing a bra. And then magically she becomes pregnant. She's still not wearing a bra. And then she has to go in and see Mike not wearing a bra. Just pointing that out.
Yeah, but his legs weren't supposed to bend that way. So, he couldn't really do much.
I mean, boobies.
Well,
Tetons. Tetons always
gotta
work.
protect the Tetons.
I saw a sign in the storefront today. It says, "I love boobies." I'm like, what? Yeah, but it was Hot Topic. So that explains a lot.
Yeah.
The episode was written by Nell Scoville. We've talked about him before. He was the Newhart writer that we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
He did a total of 6 Warehouse 13 episodes. This was the 5th of 6. We get one more, which is season 4, episode 9 with Nell. But Nell has done some amazing stuff. Shannon, I know you like the episode Merge with Caution, Reset, Past and Perfect, Emily Lake, your second favorite, because you picked Stan over Emily Lake. This one, No Pain, No Gain, and then the ones you love. So Nell has done a lot of the core great episodes
that I like.
Yeah.
I do. I like this episode.
Another funny part that I liked was when Claudia was like, "Pete, I need you," and she gets in the bathroom. And he's like, "You're pregnant. How did that happen?" She's like, "I don't know." And from one of the stalls, she's like, you could hear this person. She had sex. and then they call Artie. They're like, "Let's call Artie." And she's like, "Artie, Myka's pregnant." And he says, "Yeah, and I'm Mary Queen of Scots." And Pete just pans the thing down on Myka's belly, and he's like, "How did that happen?
Pete,
I don't
what did
know.
you do?
What did you do? It wasn't me. I didn't touch her."
I didn't even touch her. Yeah. That was great.
I think those have got to be some of my favorite parts of the episode, just because there's then there's no more kissing. Stop kissing. Meanwhile, poor Jinx is being pulled like a magnet with the gun because it's attracting to the other gun. He's like, "I can't hold this very much longer."
Yeah, so he hangs up and they're like, "Oh, he didn't even say goodbye. He never does."
He never does. And they're both about to cry. And she's like, "I don't know how this happened. Maybe I don't know myself. Maybe I did wish for this." And Pete's like, "No, I think I did."
At least he came clean. At least he came clean, yeah. All right. So, Shannon, what was your favorite part of the episode?
When Claudia discovers how artifacts are made.
That was pretty good. I like that too.
It's the first time we've seen it.
I've got 4 written down. It was the creation of the artifact as the first one. The second one was you got to play Mike's magic flute later. So we talked about that. And then we just talked about the call with Pete. I didn't even touch her. And Pete, then it goes on. It's very heartfelt. And he goes into, I need somebody to share this insane life with. And they don't even mention the 1. I think this would have been a great place to drop the 1, but they didn't talk about the 1 here. And then the fact later that Pete loves Myka. So we talked about all of it, but those were the 4 that I had written down. And Carolyn, do you have 1 above all the rest?
Oh, I don't think so. All of it was just really good. And I liked Claudia figuring out how the artifacts work, and Mrs. Fredrick sharing the other end of that where, this is my grandson and he's, about ready to pass away and I'm still going kind of thing. So that sharing, and then Pete sharing that with Myka, that senior talking about how he was like, I gotta find somebody who'll share this insane life. And I thought, well, I have somebody who will share this insane life with me. So, or just all of Myka being pregnant, and yeah, it was all just, I liked, I don't think I could choose a
Think about that. No one's ever, Mrs. Fredrick's never shared any of her information, her private life with anybody, but not Claudia.
Yeah.
I doubt even Artie knows about her grandson.
I know that Pete's mom, I think, does, because they discussed that before.
The struggles that they have as mothers.
The struggles that they've had. So I think Pete's mom does know about those kinds of struggles. But yeah, I don't think anybody else knows about Mrs. Fredick and her grandson and the fact that she's outliving her family, her current family.
I would hate to see what happened to the person or persons that did any harm to her grandson, because, she's going to bring the full effect of the warehouse on whoever that was. And the warehouse would, since the warehouse is bonded with her, the warehouse would totally back her up. It's like, yeah, you would not want to be that person. So it's probably wise for everybody involved that the grandson remains secret.
Although we still don't know how the artifacts are leaving. They found them. And this is the thing. Jinx says, well, we've stopped the leak. But did you? I mean, you found where they're going, but you didn't stop the person. You don't know who's doing it, because all you did was find the place. That doesn't mean that more aren't going to go missing. So you have to fix the problem in the warehouse before you can say problem's fixed by finding all the artifacts.
And I still have problems with Brother Adrian and his motivations. And I think it's just pure revenge, because it's not logical whatsoever.
Well, he's the evil that was created. My guess. It's my guess.
Okay, I can buy that. I can buy that.
Because it's an evil that he didn't think would be coming.
It's just that Artie dismantled his life work, but the life work was to protect the astrolabe. And if the astrolabe is now in the Warehouse 13, then it's protected.
Yeah, it's protected. Yeah, see, that part doesn't make sense to me either.
So
the astrolabe was always supposed to be protected.
What's that, Shannon?
It's pure revenge.
Yeah.
And he is the evil that was created.
Now I can absolutely get on board with that then, because I was having a big problem with that. Like, what the heck's going on?
What in the what?
Because Claudia is not evil. It's just a premonition of things that he's going to see. But you can misunderstand a premonition.
Yeah, and just so we say it, we've been saying the creation of the artifact, but just so we say it here, Mrs. Fredick says the creation of an artifact is simply the meeting of an object, a person, and the moment.
Yep. Thank you. I was going to say that.
Yeah. So that's the endless wonder.
That's the endless wonder. Not everything is endless wonder, she says.
All right. So my favorite episode, as we know, is 321. Can you guys take a guess at where I slot No Pain, No Gain?
5.
No.
You're 5. Shannon, you're, I don't know.
I would say closer to 10.
Closest without going over is Carolyn, because I have it slotted as number 4.
Wow.
Yeah. It's 321, Stan, Emily Lank, No Pain, No Gain.
It was a good episode.
All good episodes, yep.
Really good episode. I liked it.
All right. Carolyn, what feedback did we get this past week?
Oh, none.
Oh,
sad. It's a sad feedback day.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you're listening to this, you should be giving us some feedback on this episode, because it was an amazing episode. You can send Shannon an email at warehouse13fancast@gmail.com. That's warehouse, the numbers 1 and 3, fancast@gmail.com. Coming up, Warehouse 13, Season 4, Episode 6, Fractures. Shannon, you get the dubious honor of choosing tvguide.com description, the IMDb description, or the Amazon Prime Video description.
I never can say the initials right, but IMDb, whatever.
IMDb.
IMDb.
That one, yes, whatever.
I love how you say it, though.
Yeah. I do the same thing with different things. Just think of it this way. It's the Internet Movie Database. So IMDb.
DB. Okay.
Yeah.
Dip it.
The IMDb description reads, someone has stolen Lewis Carroll's mirror from inside the warehouse, allowing the psychotic and murderous spirit of Alice Liddell to escape again. Our team must stop her killing spree before one of them ends up dead.
Ruh-roh.
Indeed.
Not again.
We have gone on a long time tonight. Thank you very much for sticking with us. We should be back next week. And until next time, I'm the Janitor SP.
It's Sci-Fi Girl.
I want cookies. This is Carolyn, Ocean 363.
I've got Toll House in the fridge. I should make them.
I made some of those this weekend.
I got fudge brownies.
Uh-oh. Don't smell fudge.
No, don't smell it. Just
That's the Fudge Factory next door.
It's the Fudge Factory next door.
Thanks for joining us for an episode of the Artie's Attic Warehouse 13 Fancast. You can find all our episodes at warehouse13fancast.com. If you'd like to contact us, you can hit us up on our email at warehouse13fancast@gmail.com. We are a part of the Lone Wolf Podcast Network. You can hear more of this cast and other shows like it by checking out lonewolfpodcasts.com. The intro music is Sci-Fi Hybrid Intro by Soundmake, and the outro music is Science Fiction by Tunes to Go. Both were purchased on pond5.com.
Hello, this is Editor SP. I know you're used to listening or watching to Janitor SP, but I also edit and produce the show. And this is the next night, and I forgot to add something in the show. So we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you very much for downloading our show and listening to it or viewing us on YouTube, whichever version that you do. We really appreciate you being a Power member. If you made it this far in, you're definitely a Power audience member. So thank you very much for that. Secondly, I forgot to announce that in a few short weeks, I'm actually going to be in Indianapolis at VoltCon. Now, VoltCon is the 40th anniversary this year of Voltron. And if you're watching this, maybe you're a fan of the show, but the 40th anniversary of when Voltron was first on the air in 1984. And they are having a convention in Indianapolis on October 26th, Saturday, October 26th. I am going to be there. Sadly, neither Carolyn or Shannon are going to be there, but we look forward to having some other members of the Lone Wolf Podcast Network there as well. And I can announce that Sean is planning on coming, and we're planning, that's Shannon's husband, and we're planning on at least one or perhaps even a couple more people to be there. So if you want to say hi to us, hang out, maybe you're a Voltron fan, it is at the Wyndham Indianapolis West Hotel. So that's the airport hotel over in Indianapolis on October the 26th. So go ahead. You know what I look like. Tap me on the shoulder. I will be wearing a Voltron Geeky jersey that I bought very long time ago. Had no idea it was going to be used at an event like this, but I will be wearing one. There'll probably be a lot of other people wearing one too, because it was a big deal a few years ago. So we look forward to seeing you there. And I am talking to you now to just announce the fact that I'm going to be there and would love to meet you. So if you happen to be there, go ahead and send me an email at thewarehouse13fancast@gmail.com. I'm also on social media. I'm on Threads at Stargate Pioneer, and I'm also on our Discord server on the Gonna Geek Network, which is another podcast network that I'm associated with. That's discord.com/GonnaGeek. Go ahead and say hi to me at either place or send in an email, and I will be looking out for you. But that's what the plan is right now. We're planning on being there October 26th. Look forward to seeing you there at the 40th anniversary of Voltron at VoltCon. Catch you later.